everybody, I'm Ross the Boss, and I have a great, funny comedian I'm known for years, and you might know him from TV, from Loudermilk on DirecTV, 3 seasons in. You also probably know him from all these Farrelly Brothers movies he's been in, at least like 15 of them. Let's welcome Jackie Flynn to the show. Jackie.
Hey, Ross.
Welcome. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. I'm sweating my butt off, but I'm good, man. In fact, I just realized I didn't turn my AC on. I don't think.
You're sweating like Oprah in the weigh-in over there.
Oh boy.
I have some great jokes. So, Jackie, I've known you. I mean, I want to talk to you about. I've known you for many years, and always funny. This is the least dressed up I've ever seen you. You're wearing a T-shirt when you're on stage.
I'm wearing a shirt, but it has a little bit more to it, I think. Yeah, there we go.
Is that John Kennedy? What the hell? What are you wearing?
Stay wavy.
No one gets that shirt except me.
Hey, hold on. Put my AC on.
That shirt's not even relevant anymore. What are you doing?
That shirt's beautiful. It's the man.
Jackie.
He's the man. So, all right. So anyway, I'm back.
Okay, you're back. Okay, so Jackie,
yes.
known you for years on stage. You always wear a jacket. You always dress nice. You're one of these comics that like to dress up when you perform, which I appreciate.
Thank you. Thank you. Look, your sartorial choices are wonderful too.
So, Jackie, you've been in almost every Farrelly Brothers movie I watch. Every one,
except for the one that won the fucking Oscar.
Well, you're Irish. You're not Italian, so you can't be in the movie. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Only Italian guys allowed in that movie. Green Book we're talking about, folks. And Peter Farrelly did win an Oscar for it. And you've been in many of these movies with Peter and Bobby when they produce, direct, whatever. How did they first meet you? Why did they pick you? Why not Ross the Boss?
I had a lot of dirty pictures of both of them, and I'm so grateful to those guys. I mean, they've been my champions, and they saw me doing stand-up at a charity golf tournament back in Boston back in the day, summer of '95, and then Pete came up to me afterwards and said, "Hey, I got this movie I'm doing, Kingpin." It was after they did Dumb and Dumber, and he said, "I got something in there I want you to do, maybe." And of course, I'm thinking, sure, some Hollywood guy going, yeah, like, all right. But Pete, being Pete, sure enough, sent me the script and then followed up with a call and goes, "So what do you think?" And I'm like, "Yeah, great." So apparently, I'm really doing this, huh? He's like, "Yeah." So then, as a matter of fact, another situation like that where during the rap party, we were in Pittsburgh, and I think it was in Pittsburgh. No, we were in Reno afterwards. I think the rap party was in Reno. And I thanked him. I said, "Look, thanks for validating the time, like 7-8 years of doing stand-up." And he said, "No, you're getting me work. We'll work together a lot." And again, I thought, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
and sure enough, here we are, 17 movies later. It's been crazy,
It's been a great run. And I mean, you always make me laugh. You played one of my favorite roles you did was you played Bette Midler's manager.
Cher's manager.
Cher's manager. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I mixed the Two Divas Up.
Yeah, you did.
You played Cher's manager. Why don't you tell us about that and tell us how it was to work with Cher?
It was great. I mean, Cher and I really hit it off because she likes comics. She used to actually have Dom Irera, who we had a mutual friend, because I'm friends with Dom too. And she had said that Dom used to open for her, but she always loved comics. So we got along famous. It's great. Right from the get-go. She has got a great sense of humor and doesn't take herself too seriously. She, think about the movie. They made fun of her being a diva the whole time, and she was so cool about it, So
it was great. I mean, you really lucked out with those Farrelly brothers. They really did watch out for you. And now you're in a TV show, Peter's first TV show called Loudermilk. You're in the 3rd season. Tell us about the show.
Loudermilk is a very dark comedy. It all takes place in a 12-step program, like an AA meeting, and we all play a bunch of misfits that are all dealing with different types of addiction and whatnot. It's a very serious parts of it. It's a dark comedy that deals with a lot of serious topics, and so it's kind of fun in that way. There's a dichotomy there, but I play a recovering alcoholic, and I'm a bookmaker, a bookie, so it's not a stretch, and So and that's it. Brian Regan is in it with me. He plays Muggsy. He's a character, another alcoholic, and also stars Ron Livingston from Ron from Office Space and whatnot, and Will Sasso. from
Will Sasso, very
Matt,
funny.
Yeah. Will Sasso's the best.
Three Stooges, Will Sasso.
Yeah, Mad TV.
Another
bunch
movie
of
you
stuff.
were in.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop. But the show is unbelievable. I've seen the first 2 seasons. I got to watch the 3rd season.
Yeah,
but
it gets good. Yeah.
I mean, you guys have a lot of fun on that show. You actually help out with the script. Tell us what the process is with the script and when you're writing it and everything else.
They take the scripts. I've done some punch up with Pete over the years in different movies. They take about table it with a bunch of comics and writers, and we go, page by page, trying to, find out, if we can make it a little funnier, so everybody reads it and then makes some notes, and then, hey, what do you got on page 7? Anybody? And then someone will chime in with an idea, and then we all talk about it. Eventually, the script gets tighter and funnier, and that's the hope, at least. And with the Loudermilk scripts, the same thing. We take all the scripts and we go page by page and try to punch them up a little bit. And one of them, I was lucky enough to work with Jimmy Dunn and Peter Farrelly. Jimmy's a comic buddy of mine from back east, and Jimmy's a great writer. And Jimmy, wrote some really good story for the last couple episodes that we did together. So kind of fun.
You guys all go to Martha's Vineyard. You guys all sit around. And
yeah, we usually do that in LA. I think you're referring to a time I did go to Martha's Vineyard. Me, Pete, and Jimmy sat there and finished the script we were working on together. But when we do the real deal with all of them, we go in LA and then just sit down. We get comics from everywhere and writers.
I know they like the Farrellys. I've been with Peter and Bobby numerous times, and they love working with comedians. I mean, they have great stories about comedians. As you know, a lot of their movies feature a lot of the comics, a lot of the Boston comics like yourself.
Absolutely.
I mean, do you remember? I mean, tell me, did you always want to be a comedian? It's something you always want to do, like when you were younger?
Yeah. I always liked comedy. My dad was a real funny guy, not a comedian, but he always really good with a joke, and he had great time. I credit my timing and my delivery to my dad. My dad was literally, and I've heard a lot of comics over the years say this. I'm actually not too long ago, I saw Jim Carrey on an interview talking about it, that they all said that the funniest guy they knew was their dad. And it really is true for me anyway. My dad was the funniest guy. I mean, made me laugh harder than and I got some of my friends are the funniest people in the world, but my dad was very funny. I could always memorize jokes, and I used to, I can remember the first time watching the Tonight Show with him, and I might have been like 12 years old. I remember the comic. I want to say it was like Shecky Green maybe or somebody, and told the joke. I remember the joke. I don't remember exactly the comic, and it could have been Pat Cooper, who was another friend. My dad loved it, who's actually became a friend of mine years later. It's crazy. Life is so bizarre. And so I used to always memorize George Carlin and Cheech and Chong, Richard Pryor albums, and my dad would make me do some little things for his friends and stuff when they were drinking. So I'd be
that's great.
I'd be like a little jester.
I mean, you and I spent many nights at the Improv, and I know you love beer. I like drinking beer once in a while. It's always a refreshing drink. And talking about comics, you told me a funny story last week on your social media. Somebody just posted this punchline, and you forgot the joke. It was, I believe it was a vampire cliff diver. And you tell the story though. I love the story.
From time to time as comedians, you forget jokes because eventually somehow they work their way out of your act, and for whatever reason, usually it's because you got better jokes. But sometimes there's stuff that you actually like that, but for whatever reason, it worked its way out of your act, out of your rotation, and you forget to do it a couple times, and next thing you know, it's gone. You just don't think of it forever, and then sometimes you'll think of it and go, "What was that joke?" So all of a sudden. Some comedian just chimed in, like just as a goof, like a punchline to my joke, which he couldn't even remember the joke because I actually tracked him down and said, "Dude, what was that joke again?" Because I couldn't remember the setup. He only had the punchline, and it drove me crazy. He couldn't remember it after, so now I'm like, "Oh, thanks." Now you just kind of got me going crazy thinking about it now. So recently, I was transferring old VHS tapes to DVD, so because they degrade, and I come across the joke and I'm like, "Oh, thank God!" Because and it wasn't a big joke, but I'm glad I remembered it. It was kind of a funny. It's more of a kind of a kind of quirky joke. But the joke was, I said, during the news they always announce the exact time of the high tide and low tide and sunset and sunrise. And my joke was, the newscast is sunrise is at 7:33 a.m. Sunset is at 8 p.m. High tides at 6:45 a.m. and blah blah blah. I said, who needs to know exactly what time the sun rises or sets or the tide falls or whatever? This should not concern you unless you're a cliff diving vampire. And then I remember I look over going, no, I don't know. It doesn't look good, So anyway, that was my joke. That was one of the first jokes I wrote, actually. And I'm so glad I remembered it because it's a goofy little joke.
No, you got to remember your first, you got to remember your first joke, you got to appreciate those days. And
Oh, yeah, I do.
I talked about it, how, when you first started out, that was the golden age of comedy, comedy shifted a lot. And now we have like, the cancel police are out there trying to cancel people,
It's terrible.
I mean, comics can't even do their act anymore. It's really a shame what's going on in comedy. And I know you're a Boston guy. You don't really care.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in a stage in your life where you're doing movies in Thailand, and we'll talk about that later. And you don't really care if somebody tries to come after you. It doesn't matter to you anymore.
Yeah. Well, in a sense I do, though, because, I don't want to, I don't want to be disrespectful of anybody or anything. And I try to be sensitive to that. But sometimes it gets a little much, you know what I mean? And as far as now, I am concerned because, I'm on a TV show. If I say something that someone perceives, as some slight or whatever they think, and then they get 1,000 people to write a letter saying, we don't want Jackie Flynn on the show anymore. I get canceled, and it can be career, it's devastating.
You always like never offended anybody every time.
No, I don't think I did. I try not to. I mean, I'm sure
I've seen you 100 times, and I never had a complaint. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying, if I go back and stuff now that, you can't say anything anymore. I mean, this whole thing with, things that seem like they were all right back then are not any longer. And for good reason. I mean, obviously there's been a lot of bad stuff. The problem is there's always been an overcorrection, I find. It's just, we go from, and there was even the Me Too thing was, obviously is a good idea. Men have been, in power, have been putting themselves, look at, what's happened now with the news with Andrew Cuomo and stuff. People in power have always, men especially, we know as guys, there's no doubt in my mind that, men, push themselves on women and when they're in power and did things that were not desirable. And that's great. They should have corrected it. But instead of it going from here to here, it went from like here to here. Now you can't even say, hi, you have pretty eyes, or that's a nice dress. Like, can't
all
even
those
flirt.
days are over.
It's an overcorrection. Just like
it's overcorrection, and hopefully will correct itself soon.
Yeah, it will. It's like anything. It comes back, and like Don Rickles would starve in this environment. You wouldn't be able, as a comedian, it's very hard.
I mean, Bobby Slayton too. I mean, all these guys. I mean, Peter and Bobby. I mean, if they shop their scripts from back then, now,
no, you can't.
Those guys will be living in homeless shelters.
I also think that, it's in someone's heart. And as a comedian, I'm not ever trying to like besmirch someone and be really mean, or I'm making a joke. But I do understand you got to be sensitive. Some people, sometimes it's piling on when enough people say something, then it gets to be, hurtful. And I try to be cognizant.
You're not like I'm sorry to say this, you're not that guy. So let's talk about something that you love and enjoy. Let's talk about your golf game and how you play. And you actually get a lot of work out of it playing in these golf tournaments as a celebrity, which you are. To tell us about that.
I play in a lot of, the charity golf tournaments, celebrity charity golf tournaments. In fact, I just found out I'm excited. I'm going to be doing John O'Hurley's in Vegas.
Oh, that's great.
But I played in a bunch of, I was fortunate, and as a golf nut, it's a great thing because as a comedian, I get to, first of all, I take my clubs everywhere I go as a comic anyway, because, if I'm in Vegas, for instance, it gets me out of the casino for 6 hours a day. It's a good respite, yeah. But I perform at a lot of these things. I did a commercial with Phil Mickelson years ago.
Arizona State graduate. Keep going.
Yeah, I did that foot wedge commercial when I cheat with the foot wedge, and at any rate, a lot of golfers remember that. So I got to make some hay out of that, let's say, and then I do a lot of member guest tournaments. I perform at them. They hire me for their which is right up my in my wheelhouse because it's all guys smoking cigars, hanging out, and I can do my nightclub act. I don't have to be doing a corporate squeaky clean show, let's say, so that's kind of cool. And some of them I just do, and I do with charities. You got to give back, so I try to perform at a lot of them when I can. Within reason, I can fill my calendar with them. So I try to, I have to make money sometimes, so I have to, I can't do every one. And my wife's pissed at me when I'm on the road making money, never mind doing free shit, So, so at any rate, you have to balance.
And you're posting pictures of yourself smoking cigars in
Yeah,
Lake
yeah, yeah.
Tahoe,
I
one of
know,
the
I
most
know.
beautiful
Like,
courses in the world. But it's,
yeah,
I'm sure your wife, I'm sure your wife understands. I'm sure
she does. But I also, she knows that I get gigs out of it. Sometimes I'll do a
you
charity
do.
thing, and it's as altruistic as it is. It's not always altruistic in that sense that, someone will hire me, a guy that's there with this company will say, hey, we got my Christmas party. I want you to perform at, so I'll get gigs out of it sometimes, which is cool.
No, that's great. And if you go to Jackie's website, he has his own agent that will book him in celebrity
Yeah.
golf tournaments. He has his
There
own
you go.
separate agency that does that for Jackie. So if you want to hire him for your golf tournament, go to his
Yeah.
website and go to that agent, and you can have him for.
I have the most woefully unupdated website. I'm so horrible with all things
It's
technical.
horrible.
I don't have any of my dates on there. I don't even know how to put my dates in my website. How bad is that? That's how bad I am. I'm such a technophobe. I'm an idiot.
No, you're doing good. So, something else that your daughter is dating, Riley, your daughter is dating an indie driver who's like 21 years old from Santa Clarita, California.
Colton Herta, yeah.
Colton Herta, and he's actually like, tell us about Colton and how long they've been dating and how's that relationship going?
Yeah, Colton grew up literally. I'm looking over this way, right about a block that way. Maybe a 9-iron in my golf terms from my house, and they knew each other in like 7th and 8th grade briefly, and then Colton had to go to England, and he lived like he was billeted, if you will, with a family in England so he could race. And he was there when he was like 14, 15 years old for 2 years, living without his family anyway, just some strangers in England so he could race over there. And then he came back and they reconnected in high school. And then they ended up going to the prom together about 3 years ago or so. And they've been dating since. And, he's a little phenom. He's one of the best, probably, in my opinion, the best IndyCar driver going right now.
No, I watched him over the weekend. I texted you during the race. He actually was like first and second, and then like all of a sudden
he's gotten some luck, some bad luck with a lot of the.
But I was nervous. I was nervous because he didn't get out of the car so quickly. I didn't want to text you so quickly because I knew you were freaking out. So I was calm. But when he got out and they showed him some wrist injury, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah.
But
it was nerve-wracking. It was nerve-wracking because I listened to an app that I can hear his dad, his strategist, Brian Herta, who used to race too. Brian used to race for David Letterman's team, and Brian is his guy in his ear. So when Colton's finding out how much gas he has and when he's supposed to pit, it's his dad telling him. And when the crash happened, I could hear his dad and him talk, all the time during the race. And when the crash happened, Brian said, "You okay, buddy?" And there was a long, pregnant pause, and I tell you, my heart skipped about 3 beats. And finally, Colton said real quietly, "Yes." He was so distraught, I think, and because this one, he was on him. He knew he pushed too hard. He was trying to chase him. That was my big fear. I was hoping he wasn't going to do that.
No, I mean, again, if your daughter's dating a race car driver,
yeah, it's terrifying.
I mean, it's terrifying. I want to say like, oh, he'll be fine. I mean,
no,
it's terrifying. It's a tough sport, but he is. I mean, he's considered to be like a phenom, like you said, and one of the best drivers. I mean, he's won a lot of events. I mean, this guy.
He won the pole
real
for this
deal,
one.
and it's amazing, Jackie. He's only 21. I mean, when you were 21, I don't even know what you were doing. You were drinking beer at some pub in Boston. I mean,
that's probably precisely what I was doing.
But let's talk Boston sports. I know you love the Celtics. You love the Patriots. I mean, do you think the Patriots with Cam Newton this year would do anything at all, or do you think
Mac Jones, maybe? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's hard to watch the Patriots now. But again, we had a good run. That's what I tell everybody. I said, that's don't cry for us. We've had a really good run.
No, Tom Brady's in Tampa Bay. I mean, he won the Super Bowl. I'm sure it breaks your heart.
Well, I was happy for him. I like him.
I'm sure you met him. I'm sure you've been.
I did.
I'm sure you met him. Of course, you met him.
He was in Stuck on You with us.
That's right. That's right.
We did
Jackie
Stuck
was
on
in
You
Stuck on You.
together.
It was Matt Damon and
Greg Kinnear. Yeah.
Greg Kinnear, and they were Siamese twins, and you had a great role in that movie. I mean, it's amazing how you pop up in all these movies. I mean, I'm sure the residual checks come to your house every day, and they pay and they pay for that beautiful T-shirt you're wearing, and basically, you actually told me, I'm going to tell this is news. You're going to Thailand. Tell us why.
I'm shooting a movie that Pete Farrelly's doing. It's a follow-up movie to his Oscar-winning Green Book, and it's a Vietnam era movie. It takes place in Vietnam, and shooting it in Thailand because obviously that mirrors, visually at least, Vietnam. And but I have to go there in quarantine for 2 weeks, literally in a hotel room alone with myself and all my thoughts. It's going to be horrible. I hate being alone. So anyway,
So do you have
high class problem?
So what are you going to bring with you to make? I mean, 2 weeks is a long time, and the TV they have there is probably not English. You're watching.
No, I'll be watching Netflix. I think I'll bring my iPad that I'm looking at you on, and I'll have the Netflix on there. I hope, God willing, and I'll download some books on my Kindle and bring a couple books and whatever I can do. And I'll try to work out. I'm going to try to lose 10 pounds. I want to work out, get in shape. I don't know about 10 pounds.
That's what I would do. I would be taking advantage of the time. Exactly. And if you could update us and let us know how it's going, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Jackie,
I'll give you a call.
That'd be great. Jackie, thanks for coming on. I'm Ross the Boss, and this is Jackie Flynn, and we'll see you next time.